Hi, I want to take a few minutes to walk you through how Elementum approaches software license management because we think we go at this pretty differently from the tools that you're probably evaluating today. The first thing to know is the Flexera and most software asset management tools in the market, they're going to give you analytics and they're going to tell you how many licenses you paid for, how many are unused, where the waste is. It's genuinely useful, but to actually reclaim these licenses, somebody still has to do the work. You need a workflow that goes out, it talks to users, collects entitlements, removes the seats, and it needs to be running continuously, not just some quarterly cleanup project. That's what Elementum is. Elementum is a horizontal orchestration platform. Software licenses management is one use case sitting on top of it. What I want to do is show you today 3 different entry points into that same underlying workflow. We're going to start with the most obvious one, which is a front door. Somebody needs access to a piece of software. In this case, it's our user Priya. She's a product analyst, and she needs to look at some dashboards in Tableau for an upcoming QBR. She simply expresses herself in our intelligent front door portal. She describes what it is that she needs, and Elementum carries on from there. Elementum identifies the fact that there are different license types that are available for her. She uses the viewer license for this particular purpose, and so she responds accordingly, and Elementum continues with the process of identifying how this license needs to get provisioned to her. Once that license provision has happened, we will send an email off to the Tableau server administrator. It's just as a courtesy. It'll say something like, here's who got auto-approved, here's the seat count remaining, here's a link back to the request record if anything looks unusual to you. The elapsed time for something like this is 30 seconds, maybe a minute. There's no ticket, no spreadsheet, no human approval necessary for these easy ones, although we can certainly put a human approval in all of these requests if that makes sense for your business. Let's talk about the second entry point. Suppose I'm a manager for a small team inside my organization, and I use Workday to be able to keep track of all of the things that I need to do with respect to managing that team. Unfortunately, someone on my team, Emily, has elected to leave the organization, and so I need to process a termination for her. I need to fill out this form wherein I describe why she's leaving, what she's going to be doing next, maybe any other special notes about her departure from the organization. And finally, I click on this button to terminate her employment with us. This is the point at which differentiation between Elementum and other software asset management tools matter the most, because most SAM tools are simply going to listen to single sign-on logs like Zscaler, and that's downstream. It's got to wait for a month to finally figure out that Emily hasn't used this software for a while. Elementum, on the other hand, is picking up a message directly from Workday that says, let's decommission Emily right now and reclaim these licenses right now. And you can see that happening live on the screen. This is the request that just got submitted. Elementum understands which licenses Emily has access to, and Elementum is currently running through a series of sequential activities to revoke her licenses for each of these applications, Slack, Tableau, Jira, whatever it is. All of these things are gone. Every single assignment gets removed, and every step of that, in terms of who triggered this, when it ran, exactly what got revoked, it's all sitting in our audit trail back in Elementum. That's the difference between a dashboard that tells you Emily still has licenses and a workflow that actually takes them back. The third entry point is also interesting. In this particular case, there's not necessarily a human trigger that does anything. There's not necessarily a user request, not an event. Elementum just notices that a given app isn't being used. We've got an app table that pulls usage data from your systems, Okta sign-in, Zscaler logs, whatever signal tells us a real person either is or isn't using a given piece of software. We aggregate all of that into this single view, activity per user per title. A data mine watches this table. You can define the threshold. Maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's 60, maybe it's different by software category. When somebody crosses the threshold, the data mine kicks off the same revocation workflow that we just saw. It may be configured so that we send a warning like this one first. Here's Marcus on my team. He hasn't logged onto Elementum in 30 days, so Elementum sends him a note. Your license is going to go away on this date if you don't sign in. There's a button to sign in. There's a button to release the license now if he knows he's not going to need it. It's all configurable. And 30 days later, if he still hasn't touched it, the license is gone. An email goes to Marcus, a copy comes to me, his manager, a copy goes to the Tableau admin, and the seat's put back into the available pool. We've recovered our $120 on this one, and at the size of most organizations, that money adds up. The point isn't necessarily the dollar figure on any single license, though. The point is that license reclamation stops being a quarterly project. It's a continuous process that runs in the background, constantly paying for himself. Every signal that we just walked through, Priya's new request, Emily's offboarding, Marcus's reclaimed seat, they all feed into a single view for your leadership team total tiles, annual spend, utilization, waste by department, what's coming up for renewal. This isn't three separate products. It's one single platform, one workflow engine, three different entry points, and a leadership view that's sitting on top of it all. That's Elementum managing software licenses. We're happy to help discuss more of this with you in depth at any time. Thank you.